PocketBase is an open source alternative to Supabase or Firebase, and possibly the simplest backend you could ever run. Just one single file giving you real-time database, authentication, and file storage. This is in complete contrast to how insanely complex modern web dev has become. So in today's video, we'll test out PocketBase and see if its simple architecture really stands up when building anything beyond a simple app. PocketBase is a single Go binary with SQLite embedded, but coding in Go itself is actually optional because the backend can be expanded with both JavaScript and TypeScript. And you'll also get access to a basic admin UI where you can configure all of your collections exactly how Supabase works. Now jumping into the architecture and how you'd actually use it. Once PocketBase is live, you can connect to it from the front end via the JavaScript SDK. This again is very much the same as how Firebase and Supabase are designed, as you can then access your database directly from the front end. And don't worry, PocketBase has API rules and auth to keep all of these rules secure. But let's jump straight into a demo to show a real application with authentication, database, and file storage. And if you're enjoying this video, then subscribe to BetterStack as we cover a huge amount of developer content on this channel. So we have our application here. We've got PocketBase on the back end, and then we've just got a web front end written in React. The most important file inside the web front end is this pb.ts file here, because inside here we're importing from PocketBase. So we've got the PocketBase class. We create a new instance of that, then we can connect to our backend service, and then now we can use PB throughout the rest of the application. So the application itself is just a simple bug tracker. We can drag items between columns, we can create brand new issues. So if we look inside the hook that controls the logged in user, you can see initially we set the state with PB auth record. So this would just grab the currently authenticated user from PocketBase. And then we set up a listener as well. So we say if the auth store changes with the onChange event, then we'll just set the brand new user into state. So it is really as simple as that. We can access state, we can subscribe to state, and the same is true for our issues as well. So inside our use issues hook, again, we initialize some state, but in this case, we'll leave it empty. Then we have a use effect, and we say that we'll grab all of the issues, get the full list, and then we'll set the issues with that list. So that would initially pre-populate the data. And then we can also, again, subscribe to issues. So if you drag issues between columns or create or delete an issue, we can then say pb.collectionIssues, subscribe, and then anytime a new record comes in, we can then append it to our state. That means when we're interacting with the PocketBase database directly, like when we drag a card here, the state would be automatically updated. In the case of creating a brand new issue, we can also attach a screenshot to that. So let's grab a screenshot of the application itself. We then click File Issue, and then the new issue appears here. In the front-end code, this is handled through a submit function, and then we append all of the form data, and then finally, we call PB collection issues and then create, passing the data in. What we have on the back end is collection API rules to prevent misuse of these APIs. So PocketBase will give you this admin interface as default. And then here you can see we've got the users collection, and we've also got the issues collection where all of our issues live. If we look inside the users collection and then press settings up here, then we have this tab API rules, and these are all the rules that restrict access to this particular collection. So we say in the case of users, the request auth ID cannot be an empty string. And then when updating or deleting users, the ID has to match the ID of the authenticated user. And we can access that with this special string here, the @character, and then request.auth.id. If you've used Supabase in the past, you'll find this kind of pattern super familiar. Now, what happens if the backend doesn't do everything you need? Well, luckily you can extend it via hooks with, of course, Go, but also JavaScript and TypeScript. So we can hook into events such as on Bootstrap when the app starts, or on record create when a database record is created. There are 82 unique hooks at the time of filming, so pretty much everything you need would be covered. Now let's extend our PocketBase service to see how it all works. If we look inside the PB folder, you can see we have our PocketBase binary, and this file is literally all you need to run the default version of PocketBase. In my case though, I've written all of the hooks in TypeScript, so I have some setup to compile those hooks into the PB hooks folder as JavaScript, because PocketBase only actually supports JavaScript natively. So if you are using TypeScript, you need to compile it down. If we look inside the main hook file, we can see that we've got a hook here saying on record create, and this is specifically targeting when we create issues. And what we're doing here is we're saying every time a record is created, we're going to send an email to the user. And we can do that by calling e.app new mail client and then send, and then pass in the message object, which we've constructed here. You can, of course, hook into a ton of different features inside PocketBase. So any custom functionality that you might need is always going to be supported with the 82 plus hooks already available in PocketBase. Because this runs SQLite, it means we need persisted storage. So past platforms like Heroku, Render, or Railway would actually be a bad fit due to their ephemeral file systems. Basically, you'd lose your data every time you redeploy your app. To avoid this, you can attach a permanent file system, but the better and cheaper option would just be to host on a VPS. And that data lives inside the PB data folder. So if we have a look inside here, you can see we have a storage folder, and this would contain all of the images that we've uploaded against our issues. They just happen to be stored in the storage folder. So inside this random ID here, for example, you can see the image here that I uploaded against the issue earlier. The database files themselves would also be persisted within this folder. So data.db here, this would contain all of our SQLite code. So if I were to delete this file, I would lose all the data in the application. So obviously you need a good backup strategy rather than just leaving it as a single file on disk. Compared to tools like Supabase, which can start at $25 for the basic tier, PocketBase is basically free. You just have to pay your VPS costs, which can be as little as $4 and allows you to run as many projects as you like. But of course, you would want to scale this up with usage. PocketBase also comes with everything you'd need for production apps, like migrations, job scheduling, and logging. You can also serve static files directly with PocketBase by dropping them into the PG public folder, and this would be useful for something like a React frontend. Alternatively, you can also host dynamic routes with template rendering, and this would be perfect for things like email templates. So if you do want a single box setup, then this is how you do it. Now the big question, is this production ready? Well, it does include all of the features that you'd need to build a modern SaaS app, particularly the production grade features like migrations and logging. It's also entirely extensible, so you're not just stuck with the defaults, but the big gotcha is that this is pre-V1. So they do explicitly say to only use this if you're fine reading changelogs and running manual migrations from time to time. But if that is you, then go ahead, you can just build the first single file unicorn. You can learn more about PocketBase by checking out the relevant links down in the description. And if you love open source alternatives, then check out our video on OpenCode, the open source alternative to Claude Code. I've been Warren from BetterStack. Thanks for watching, and of course, I'll see you next time.